I was with my dad last year on a holiday together in Germany, we had a wonderful time together. Me and my dad, we are actually a perfect team. And yeah, because he is actually my guide through humanity. Because I have to admit, myself, I have the most difficulties to go through humanity. I have social anxiety and things like this. Of course, I have to work with 200 people, but I learned how to do so. But I force myself how to do so. But in fact, in a natural way, I have always had great difficulties with going through humanity, and my dad is a perfect guide actually to go through it. Without him, I don't know how I would do it in this life. So, in fact, last year we have been on a holiday in Germany, like I said, and it's not the first time that I've done that. In this taking a holiday with my dad to Germany, to a theme park because I used to be a theme park enthusiast, and this was our hobby that we did together, going throughout Europe to visit theme parks and amusement parks and things like this. Of course, it's lesser down with me getting older. It's just yeah, but it was a wonderful time together. There was something strange, just that I forgot that I didn't forget. Of course not, but I wrote it down in my book of Dragon Shadows. It was even that strange that I came to discover. You discover something every single time on your dragon's path, and why you came to this point of meeting your dragon. And this was once again a confirmation of how special we actually are, my brothers and sisters. Many years ago, I've been with my dad to Germany, and with on the same place we stayed a couple of nights, and we were playing a game, playing a game, yeah, together with two players. It's a card game, I believe. It was a card game, and normally I beat him all the time, all of the time. I mean, my entire holiday I beat him all the time. But many years ago, I was the one actually that was beaten, and he said that the day before that happened with the exact same numbers, and I found it strange because how can you know that with the scores? The scores are quite difficult to say, but he could predict that just the day before it. That was strange to me. But many years later, on that exact same place, I won everything. I mean, when he ever won, it was coincidence. But the week before it was happening, we were staying at that place in Germany. He said, "You can win every single day, but that last day is mine. The last day, I will win with that exact numbers." And I would say impossible. You never won with that numbers unless it was many years ago on this place. You will never have that again. Watch and see, he said. And after that, he indeed I won every single day until that last day that he predicted. And I was so shocked, like, how did you know? Well, actually, I'm a grandchild of, someone that they called the Crow. It was ancient Flemish, like Dutch, like a strange kind of Dutch that they speak in Belgium. And they called him like P the Crow, but it means actually the guy who is called the Crow or the Crow guy back in the day in 1800 and so much. But it's still so much known to this day that even my family members who are descendants of him or still know that day. Uh, then I said, who is he? Who is that Crow guy? He said, that is your great 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 grandfather. And he was very well known in these regions because he was not like everyone else. He didn't go to church. He did his own thing, and he was always dressed in black. Well, a bit like Midas, I want to say. But yeah, I was actually surprised, and he said, "Yeah, that was actually your distant relative." And he was, if I've seen descriptions of him, he said, and yeah, that is a scene of actually he heard descriptions of him. He was always dressed in black, and he was always like how I did because I didn't know about him. Yeah, so that is what I came to discover actually about this guy that was my ancient relative who actually performed witchcraft in the late 1800s, that everyone used to be afraid of him because the church was quickly to point the fingers and say he's a witch, because he was actually a kind of a witch. And that is what I came to discover. Your blood. Why do you discover the dragon so easily? Why are you actually allowed to see it? There is much more to it than just the gift of the dragon itself, but also the gift what has been given to you by birth, the gift that you've been given by human blood as well. Human and dragon combined in one giant gift, that you can actually discover who you truly are. I sometimes people say how strange it is to call myself a dragon witch, but that is exactly how I was. So my distant relative, the crow, you can say this guy that is being called the crow because he was always dressed in black, doing nothing, anything like everyone else, just didn't listen. Even to this day, the legend in my family is still great about him. So I wanted to know more about him. So unfortunately, my grandmother died who knew much more about him. But now I've seen the gift that is being given to my dad, because that was not the first time that he's been doing such a, strange prediction. And sometimes I discover myself doing exact the same predictions, so that I know what is about to happen sometimes. And that is also what happened to him. He also had this sometimes prediction about what is going to happen. And that is what I came to discover. People who are on the dragon's path, they don't just simply have this the dragon that can open up the door. No, that is because you have this gift of opening gates as well. That is also what this distant relative of myself had. However, he's not that distant. He's my great grandfather. But he was very well known for doing witchcraft, participating in witchcraft, and wearing black all the time, not going to the church and not caring about it. So always being alone by itself, that everyone was, how is everyone afraid of someone who just wants to be alone? It's just so strange. But yeah, I've seen like this gift that I've seen before with my dad, and but he doesn't explore it, not at all. He just doesn't. He ignores it. Whenever I say to him, "You could do that, you could predict that, but there is also something you can actually manipulate." I've seen him manipulating, and he doesn't want to admit that. I train myself in manipulating, and doing magic and things like this because of the dragon. The dragon teach me how to do it. But why was the dragon able to teach me how to do dragon magic? Because I'm a human. But there is much more open to you. There is much more than it seems inside and through your eyes that you can see. Just go to a mirror and look into your eyes. You will see that there is much more to it. On a mirror or another reflection or inside of the water, you will see this is another side. The other side that you can see, and there in your eyes will see the spirit that is within. But why are you able to see it? Maybe you were once one of the grandchildren of the witches they could not burn, or weren't able to burn, or aren't able actually to change, because that is what they did. That is what they said to me. They were wanting to change this guy that is being called the crow, that is actually my great grandfather. They wanted to change him, let him go to church, and let him just be like everyone else. But he was so different that even after 170 years, I can still talk about him as family, that we are family together. And after all, I mean, the blood that is through my veins is the same blood as he has. And this the same blood that gives the gift to you was able, I was able to gather alongside with my dragon to awaken the spirit within. That is because there is a family member or a relative, or that you are descended from it. Your ancestors, my brothers and sisters. Your ancestors play a big role into this. Maybe your ancestors never explored it. Maybe your ancestors never knew it. But there was something inside of your veins that is what every generation has. I've seen it with my dad. I kind of saw it with my grandmother, how actually they were able to manipulate, even though they never explored it. And that is why I wanted to explore much more. I wanted to know, I wanted to see, I wanted to feel, I wanted to know everything. And that is when the dragon came to me, I just simply didn't accept that. I needed to know and I wanted answers. And this, in all of these years, I had some answers. And once again, this confirmation that my dad has this kind of gift, that it comes from ancient relatives long before, that they used to be witches, even male witches. And it seems like in my family, it's much more stronger once you're a male, because once you're a female, I've seen this with my grandmother, it's kind of lesser. But once you're a male, it seems like it's much more powerful. But it does, of course, this depends on who you are, who your family is. Of course, it depends. It doesn't mean that if you're a girl or something like this, that it will lesser happen. But yeah, that is inside of my family. In my family, I discovered that there were witches in the past, in the long past, and probably way before that as well. Of course, in the Middle Ages and the Dark Ages, they needed to be silent. They might be discovered as witches and then they died. But somehow, my family, how I seen it, the family from my father's side, my father that I really, really need, that he is actually here for a reason to guide my way through humanity. He is here to, yeah, to help me actually, to be by my side, just as my dragon is by my side to guide me through spirituality and to change and to development. So all of these that I love so much, all of them together, we form actually the bond that never breaks. We are the witches of the dragon, and it can be very much, and there is a high possibility that you are also the descendant of someone or a family that is very, very powerful. And the entire reason why you can open up something so powerful like a dragon's gate, and together alongside with from the one hand to on the other side, and the other side on your hand, together with your dragon, you open the gate because you had this energy from, your blood has power, not only your blood but your soul as well, and together it worked together very well, making you using the strongest part of energy, the oldest form of magic, and that is dragon magic. Even before the dragon was with you, you opened it together. You wanted the dragon with you, and you managed to have the dragon with you with simple mind power, because you are a dragon witch. And that is actually not a name that I call myself just simply pure out of, oh, that is Hollywood magic. That is what I hate about this. We are not Hollywood witches. What I do with the dragon, my entire part, this is my life. This is everything, and I don't laugh and I don't play with my life. Everything that happened to me is pure and simply because it happened to me, and I don't cannot ignore it. And what the dragon did, and what everything that happens, and what my path led to, and everything that I know about it, I was actually very much surprised that I came to this point inside of my dragon's path. We are all different. Every dragon's path is different. It can be that the dragons, I mean, the witches for my family were never dragon witch. They were witches, they were gifted, but they were never dragon witches. I had this combination of my blood and my soul together. I only discovered this once my dad said about the distant relatives that I had. I call it distant because I don't know how many times I had to say grandfather. I had to know, I don't know, but his legend is still alive today about my family here in this region of Belgium. They were so afraid of him, and maybe they would be afraid of me as well, even though I don't want to hurt anyone, unless they ask it, of course. And sometimes you just don't have it under control. That sometimes your mind is just taking over, and your mind is draconic, and a draconic mind uses the most oldest form of magic. And so it's not just because your humanity is nothing, that your humanity means nothing. Your humanity means actually quite a lot. Why it can merge with your dragon spirit. It can together form as one. My spirit, I've seen it before. It's one with humanity and draconic. to be one together and blended together. I even have made a drawing because I've seen it in the mirror, and the mirror is the reflection to the other side. And we are actually blended in together with the gifted blood and the gifted soul. We are actually the children of the descendants of the ones that they couldn't burn.